Let's get something straight. I have been an avid anime enjoyer for quite some time now, and never in all my years have I seen an anime as bad as Hunter x Hunter. Granted, Assassination Classroom was also really bad, but that is a different story. I am covering Hunter x Hunter today, and why I think it's bad and what makes it bad, and if there are any good things about the show. Remember, this is just my opinion, and a lot of people would disagree with me on this, but let's get into it anyways. So Hunter x Hunter is an anime that follows a little twink boy named Gon. He's basically Deku before Deku, and just like Deku, his daddy is not in his life. And so Gon's our main character, and basically his dream is to become a hunter, just like his milk-getting dad. So he enters the hunter exam, which is our first arc of the show, and where we meet our main cast essentially. Here we get to meet people like Kurapika, Killua, and Leorio, as well as P. Diddy himself, Hikosa. Hisoka is literally a pedophile. Like, there are points in this show, mind you, these main characters are probably under the age of fucking 14, and this guy, many times in the show, we see him basically getting off to these kids. And if you don't think that's a fucking red flag or something, then you may be on the Chris Hansen show sometime in the future. Like, if I ever met a grown ass man and he says his favorite character is Hisoka from fucking Hunter x Hunter, I will never bring any kid around this person knowing that there is a higher chance that he is going to fucking touch him than any person in the world. Like, it is actually disgusting, like, how gross this character is. Granted, he does have some good parts to him, but the fact that he basically gets aroused by kids, that is a bigger turnoff than a 200-pound whale anyways. So throughout this hunter exam arc, we get to cover the backstory of majority of our characters and why they're here. Leorio is just trying to make some dough so he can pay off his medical stuff. Killua is here because his family is full of assassins and he essentially wants to get out of it. That will play a big role in the future. And then Kurapika, who we don't learn about his backstory until later in the arc. Essentially, his entire colony, tribe, clan, or whatever the hell you want to call it, were murked by what you would think is the main antagonist throughout this entire show, the Phantom Troop. More to cover on that as well. Due to his clan tribe having these basically crimson eyes, and they have some special ability to them, and they sell for a lot of money. So basically, in my opinion, I think Kurapika's backstory is so much better than Gon's. Gon's backstory is literally just, I want to be like my daddy, and like it is so hard to follow for 160 episodes. Like, granted, you forget about that motherfucker majority of the time. Like, you forget his whole purpose of being a hunter is because his fucking dad. Like, we talks about it so little that when they bring him up again, you just have no fucking clue what they're talking about. And so it's just like the most hard and like challenging character development to follow throughout the entire show, and it's just hard to like him. And people who say that he's a great character and like everything about him is amazing, he's mid. Like, he is so mid. Like, it's just so hard to like enjoy him as a character. But anyways, so throughout the hunter exam arc, they go through a bunch of these challenges with basically slims out the group that's there, takes out the weak essentially, and obviously them being the main characters slash side characters, they're gonna make it through. Granted, you can't have an arc without something horrible going on, and throughout this arc, we've seen Hikosa basically be grouped up with this one pointy motherfucker who has a bunch of pins in his face. Turns out, oh, plot twist, it's Killua's brother, and he's there to manipulate Killua into becoming another assassin, and that triggers Killua, because he's got some trauma in his life. So basically, he murks someone in one of the final exams and doesn't get his hunter card. But get this, if you fail once, even if you killed someone, you can take it again. But that is for a later time. But basically, throughout this arc, we get to see some kind of mid-ass training things. You know, one of them they're like baking fucking cakes and shit. Another one we saw Gon basically just fishing the entire time. You know, practicing his little fishing skills. You know, like that's his main weapon of choice is a fucking fishing pole. Like, tell me that is not mid as shit. If, like, and he doesn't even do anything with it. He just fucking fishes off a little pin that's on someone's chest. But he spent like 2 episodes fucking training for that shit, and like just trying to like the only thing that he actually learned was trying to hide his bloodlust. But what bloodlust if you're trying to get a fucking pin? Like I understand like that's the whole point of it, but still. So, anyways, after they get their hunter card and all that stuff, Gon's like, I can't be without my bestie. So he went to go find Killua, and he finds his home up in the mountains, you know, because his family's like an insane, famous group of assassins. But if you're a famous assassin, isn't that like against the whole point of being an assassin if people know who you are? But anyways, so he goes through again another few obstacles in order to get to Gon's or Killua's home, and there we get to meet Killua and some of his family, who are all interesting characters. But you know, you can tell why this motherfucker has trauma because you know they all just suck. They're all selfish, egoist pieces of shit. But that makes sense if you're an assassin. Anyways, obviously they're gonna save Gon or save Killua and save the day and all this yada yada bullshit. And that's how they end the arc basically. They wanted to go on and have an adventure and make some money so they can yada yada grow skills and all that stuff. So that leads us into our next arc, which is the Heaven's Arena arc. Honestly, this arc is not that bad. Like, there's more fighting and growing in this arc than there probably is throughout most of the show. Or if there is throughout more of the show, this is more entertaining. So basically, throughout this arc, they meet this little ninja boy who I don't even remember his name because like you don't see him after this arc anyways. So they meet this little ninja boy and he has this master and they teach him about this new ability called Nen. Nen is like it's just your average anime ability where they have aura around them. So it's like cursed energy from Jujutsu Kaisen. Like they're all the same essentially. They can control shit, but there's like multiple different ways you can do it. And so they test their Nen ability and what they are, and it's okay. It's not bad, I guess. And so they basically just fight their way through the arena. You know, you win, you move up, and they're just fighting for money so they can make a lot of dough and go gamble it off somewhere in fucking Vegas or something. I don't know. And Hikosa is there because why wouldn't he be? And many times throughout this, we see him in the most odd ass positions. Like I'm pretty sure there was one time in the show where we saw his bare ass, you know, just straight up naked, just staring out the window on the phone with someone. Why? Because why the fuck not, I guess. And so in this particular scene, Gon was going against Hikosa, and Hikosa was here like, "Oh, stop looking at me like that, Gon. It's turning me on." And you know, after hearing that shit, I don't even like I didn't even remember what I was like because I was just fucking shocked. Like, bro, they emphasize so much that these are fucking children, and the fact that they have this character who is just nutting to them essentially is just fucking weird. Like if I wanted a villain to get off to some random shit like that, I would prefer that it's not to a child basically. And so that kind of ruined it for me. I think at this point, we're about 50 episodes in, and I remember when I watched this show for the first time, I got to a point about this, and I just stopped watching. Like I generally stopped watching for a solid like year and a half maybe, because I remember started watching it like my junior year of high school, and I did not start it up again until I think it was my sophomore year of college. So I took a long time to pick up on this show again, just because like how boring it was up to this point. So, but I had some like time on my hands, so I'm like, oh, you know, I started it, might as well finish it because usually I finish everything that I watch, but I kind of regret it. Anyways, so they obviously they make enough money and they start learning about this game that Gon's dad helped create called Greed Island. So they basically get a little bit more motivation like, "Oh boy, let's make some money so I can buy this video game." Which mind you, this video game is at an absurd price that only hunters can play, which is a cool concept, I guess, if the game wasn't dog shit. But that's still yet to come. That arc is still yet to follow, and ooh, that arc, literally, I almost like it's so bad. But basically afterwards, we learn more about little training for the people. They learn their abilities, they get better at it. Killua has some like cool lightning ability now, but again, he just doesn't reach the level of hype that he did in like the first fucking arc. But because he wants to stop being violent. He's been to AA meetings. He's been to rehab. He's just learning to be better. And if you're gonna make a character like Killua, who is really fucking cool and like powerful, become a pussy, like just don't even make him in the show, honestly. And we also get to see Kurapika improve his ability. And I'm so mad that they don't cover Kurapika more throughout this show, just because his character is just so much better. Like if they covered him more than Gon and like Killua, I think the show would honestly be like like 10 times better than what it was. So basically, we move on to the next arc of York New City. This one, this is probably the peak of the show. Like I'm not gonna lie, I got a little excited when watching this arc. Like, but the reason is that arc was carried so hard by Kurapika, and just like he carried that shit so hard. Basically, the Phantom Troop, who they all have these spider tattoos on them, and we learn that Hisoka is part of it, and there's like a large group of them. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that vacuum chick, oh my god, down bad horrendously. She is a baddie, but again, they don't follow these people much throughout the show. Like the pacing of the show and just like the storyline and everything that they cover, it is so horrendous. Like the pacing is so buns, they have these shitty training arcs, and it's just like they never really focus on one thing throughout the show, minus the most boring fucking aspects of it. Like the Phantom Troop, they're badass, they're cool. Like we learn that Hisoka wants to like basically fight and kill everyone in it, but we never see that. And Kurapika wants to also kill everyone in it. We barely see that, but I'll get to that in a few. So basically, they had like this giant ass, auction that they do, and the Phantom Troop invades that shit. And one of the dudes, basically, like his ability, he has fucking machine guns for hands, and he mows down these motherfuckers. Like the No Russian campaign mission from Modern Warfare 2. That's basically what this is. Like he full on just lays everybody out, and they steal everything from these bitches. But when Kurapika knows this, because he's like part of this special forces group, where he was hired because, he has special abilities and he wants to get closer. Like, he's on his own side mission right now. And honestly, it's way more entertaining than going in Killua to be like, I need to make more money. So, like, dude, they fucking arm wrestle for money. Like, that shit, like, you cannot make arm wrestling hype. And they try to do it. And so they put Gon against the Phantom Troop baddie I was talking about. And obviously he won, but the Phantom Troop girl was like, that wasn't my powerful arm or my dominant arm. But even then, it's like, it's so fucking boring. Like, this shit was like an episode long of just watching them arm wrestle. And so, like, they use their kid stature basically to scam people out and make money. And so they're just there to buy the game, and they so happen to be around Kurapika and Leoriel and Obviously, Killa was there, but they find out about what happens at the auction thing, and so Kurapika takes it onto his own hands. Like this is where like I think the show reaches its absolute peak. Kurapika goes to where the Phantom Troop is, and they're just chilling. There's this one guy. He's like Toto, basically. You know, he's all muscle. He's really fucking strong. And the Hunter Association, they send out this special group. I forget what it's called, because you never see him again after this like few episodes, and they also all fucking die anyways. Like they think they're badass. They're all ugly as shit. They have some weird abilities on them, but it doesn't matter because they get laid out in less than a fucking episode, and like you have this shit, and like you obviously you see the power of the guy, but then Kurapika shows up, and just fucks the dude up. He fucks up hair Toto with hair, just shirtless, type shit, and but the way he does it is just he aura maxes and he just farms this dude, and he's just his ability, like we learn about his ability, and like he's a chain user, so he gets to use the chain, and with his eyes they basically like help him with all of his nen, and it just makes him so fucking powerful. It is so fucking cool, and he just kills one of the Phantom Troop guys like it's nothing. Like this Phantom Troop guy took a bite out of a motherfucker's head. He spit the bone through the skull of another guy, and Kurapika is just here toying with him like he's playing with his fucking food basically, and I fucking enjoyed that shit. But here's the issue. After this arc, we never see Kurapika again. We never see him use his ability. The only time we fucking see this dude is sitting on a chair holding a phone in his hand. And honestly, that pisses me off. Like, it's so, like, annoying that the fact that you have this character who is probably the best character in the fucking show, and they basically just cut him off after the best part of the show and, like, the peakness of it. And it's just like, why would they do that? It makes no sense. And so afterwards, we don't see the Phantom Troop much after this either. They essentially were like, oh, we gotta get revenge, but they don't try and get revenge because we never see it. Even if they do try and get revenge, we never see it. And it's just so fucking annoying. It's just like, who wrote this shit? But anyways, after this arc and after Kurapika carried the show at this point, and the only reason why I'm still watching it is because, like, okay, if this is what they're like producing, then they could still cook. Oh man, was I fucking wrong. When we get to the Greed Island arc, it is straight buns, it is straight cheeks. I feel like this arc is just complete fucking filler. Like, this arc is the most boring arc of anime I have ever watched. And essentially what they're doing is they're just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically. They're trying to collect cards. Like Gon and Killua, they both get sent into the game because there's this group who basically hires people, and if you can pass some tests, you get sent into the game. Obviously, Gon and Killua pass because, they have to keep the show going. So they get in, and their whole purpose is to collect some game cards. And so they're going through it, and in order to beat the game, you have to collect every card. So they're just going through it. And throughout the show, we meet this fucking chick named Bisky. And Bisky is an old lady, but she looks young. Basically, her ability is she can become Hulk Hogan. And she's one ugly motherfucker when she does it too. And like, she's strong, yes, and she knows a lot about Nen. And essentially, her purpose is to train Gon and Killua. And let me tell you, this is the most boring training ever. Like, they punch holes through mountains, but not in a cool way. And they also just stand on their finger, and probably the worst training I've ever seen. There is a part in the show where essentially their training is standing still for hours, and they go over this multiple times throughout multiple episodes, and like, it just doesn't make you hype at all for watching training. Like, it doesn't make you hype, and it doesn't make you feel like they're getting stronger. They're just fucking standing there, arms to their side, going like, ah, God, if I don't hold this longer than 3 hours, I'll never be strong. And it's just like, why? Do that shit off screen or show it in a better way. Like it's so ass. And they're like, all their training is just boring as shit. Like they try to make it fun and have a little competition, but it's just like it's it's just so boring and they don't even space it out well either. Like they never put like a little issue or a mishap that happens throughout the training and like I mean granted they try to, but they do it so poorly. Like they have this stupid ass dodgeball game where like Gon, Killua, Hikosa's there, and like this group of like other people who are in the game, and their whole purpose is to play dodgeball against like people who are part of the game. They're essentially ex-criminals that were recruited to be in the game to make it harder for the players. And so for like 5 episodes, we watched these motherfuckers play dodgeball, and they like Hikosa is on a team with Gon and Killua, and you could just tell this motherfucker's enjoying it. Like his face and just like knowing that he likes kids, he like this is heaven for him. Like he gets to like throw balls at people and then also like have balls thrown at him. Like he is in like he wishes he was in Diddy's parties. Like he wishes he was a part of that shit, man. He was just enjoying every second of it. He got hurt a little bit, but just a little pain. Nothing kills you, makes you stronger, and just like he's just having a time of his life. But the fact that they make us watch this boring ass dodgeball game and try and make it hype. Like they try and make it seem like this is the most intense thing we'll ever watch in like the history of our life. But it's just like, dude, if I wanted to watch dodgeball, I'll become a camp counselor and watch fucking middle schoolers or high schoolers fucking play dodgeball. But even then, I'll be getting paid for that. I'm not getting paid to watch this fucking show. Like, this shit is so fucking boring. And so essentially, of course they win. Of course, they create some type of solution that's like, with the power of friendship and teamwork, we can use this and that and beat this motherfucker. And so after winning, Gon has like a heart to heart with this ex criminal guy who basically murdered a bunch of people. But Gon's dad saw the good in him, so they basically bond over that. And so he tells him about his papa. This is like the first time we hear about his dad in like more than like 2 words. And so still boring ass character, still don't like him. My like easily top 5 worst anime dads. But so it's just like the arc is terrible. And then there's like this another issue where this guy who has like terrorist hands, basically he just blows shit up with his hands, and he tries to like threaten people, and he kills some people in the game in order to get all the cards to win. But of course our saviors just have to defeat him because they just have to take care of that issue like it's a fucking side quest. Just cleaning up the scraps. Like they just chop some onions and they're just throwing that shit away. It's just boring. It's just boring. The arc is terrible, and Greed Island is probably just no. I don't recommend it. It's horrendous, and it doesn't get better either. Like immediately after getting out of Greed Island, we go into the second to last arc of the show, but it's also the longest arc of the show. It is the Chimera Ant arc. This arc is about 60 episodes long of just straight character development and buns. Here, at the beginning of the arc, we meet this character named Kite. Kite is a good friend of Gon's dad, and Gon has a strong connection with him because when he was little, Kite basically slapped the shit out of him. And that made Gon like really sentimental towards Kite because like no man has ever slapped me like that. Pause. But ooh, Kite, he's cool. I like his character, but again, just like what they do with every good character in the show, we don't see him much. Like he is a character though, however, like little screen time but big impact on the story. Unfortunately, we don't really understand his impact. Like I understand Gon has a strong connection with him, but all he did was slap the shit out of the little dude because he was crying and like was doing something stupid. And if that is how you make a character have a sentimental connection with someone, then Ray Rice should be like the most sentimental person in the world. Then like Rihanna should be like heartbroken that that man's probably in jail right now. But you know, here we are. You know, in reality, that's just not how that shit works. So we go through all this, and essentially, as that's going on, we meet a few more side characters. We meet this one weird, ugly witch chick, and Gon becomes a victim basically. He is forced to go on a date with her in order to get something out of it. I don't even remember what it was, but he goes on a date with her. Mind you, again, he's still like 12, and this chick is probably like in her 20s, maybe 30s. And it's just like, why? Like, what is the point of it? Like, you could have solved the situation in a different way. But, anyways, getting off topic. In this arc, we see, we learn about these chimera ants and how they're able to evolve so much and basically get stronger and stronger based off of what they eat. And there is an island or this world that is very secluded from everybody else, and that's where they are living essentially. And the queen is eating everything. She's a hungry motherfucker. Like, she's a hungry hippo. She's Gorlock the Destroyer. She is just pounding down food, whatever she can find. And while she's doing it, she's giving birth to all these different type of ants, and they're just becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And so they start to realize that, and they make an entire group and a mission. It's like they make it their mission in order to go and stop the queen from causing more harm and all that stuff, which you would think would be like a 20 plus episode arc at best, but for some reason they just drag it along, which is like, okay, like I see why, sort of, but the queen is like the main villain for like the first 30 episodes, and Kite gets kidnapped at one point because the queen gives birth to like this king's guard, because she's trying to create a new king for them. And like the guard is a cat chick, and she's honestly really scary. I'm not gonna lie, she's a scary character. However, though, I'll get to something more down the line. So she jumps Gon, Killua, and Kite, and like they could sense the aura from miles away, and she can sense their aura as well. So Gon and Killua, they escape, but Kite gets kidnapped, and the cat, like, she wants Kite to be his doll basically. So they use Kite as like a training doll, and so Gon gets angry, and he's like, we have to go save Kite. And so they create this group with like a bunch of people from the Hunters Association. We have this guy who can create portals. We have this guy who can use smoke. Honestly, I totally forgot about that smoke character until right now. That guy is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he's actually really cool. His ability to make like smoke screens, smoke like just people and all that is pretty dope. And he's a good character, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna like hate on him just because I'm hating on the show. He's a cool character. So basically, their plan is to go save Kite. However, throughout this time, though, there's a bit of a dilemma with the ants. And with the ants, the king finally gets born, and he immediately kills the queen. But there are ants who really supported the queen and do not like the king. So they go to the hunters, and they want to be friends now after killing like a large number of people. They're like, yeah, that's my bad, bro. Like, we didn't mean that type shit, homie. You know, we cool now. And so the hunter's like, fuck it, dude. Like, we cool now. You know, you killed my friend, you kidnapped my homie, but like, I fuck with you, man. So they try and save the queen. She dies, obviously, because, like, you know, character development. And so now the king and his three shitty guards, who, like, you would think they would be pretty cool, but only one of them is, and that's the cat chick. The other two are kind of just mid. Like, we meet this one character named Shia Poof. He's this butterfly-looking fucking dude, and he is the biggest dick-riding glazer of all time. Like, he absolutely just glazes the king to like his entire fucking might, and he's like in love with him. And they just make it, again, so weird. Like, you can enjoy like being around someone, like you can like really just put your heart to it, you know, set your heart ablaze type shit. But the way he does it is just so fucking like it's so weird. Like he gets jealous of it, dude. Like he gets jealous of other people being around the king, and his entire purpose though is just to play the violin while the king plays fucking chess. And if you lose to the king in chess, you're dead. Until he finally meets this one blind chick who just is just better than him, and that pisses the king off. But now the king's falling in love with this blind lady who plays chess better than him, and just gives him a challenge. So he's like, this is my golden egg, basically. But while that's going on, they took over this like small ass kingdom, and like they've been manipulating the people. It's basically a puppet state, and they're just controlling the people, and their whole purpose to kill is just to kill everyone in that area or manipulate them and become more ants type shit. But it's just like it's so hard to follow sometimes. Like they have an underground bunker too, where like this one guy who is just working with the ants, and he just wants to get laid, so they bring like a bunch of women down there for him. But the one scary lady I brought up earlier, the one who went on a date with Gon, she basically infiltrates that, and her purpose is to just find out as much information as she can. And like they're just trying to invade it at this point now. They're just coming up with a plan, and like again, it's just so hard to follow because there's so much going on. But like they're also trying to do so much character development, and just the entire like arc after like the part of the setup is just so challenging to follow. Like we meet this like the chairman of the Hunter Association. He goes and basically sends nukes down like it's a fucking I'm not gonna go there actually, but he bombs the place, and he basically hits the blind chick that the king's in love with. So here's how we ruin the cat chick. The cat character's only purpose now is to basically heal the blind chick and bring her back to life. So we don't see her much again besides just her tweaking the entire time trying to heal the chick so the king doesn't get mad at her. So the king and the old guy go off to a distant land to have a fight so they don't hurt anybody else, which is very interesting considering the fact that the king doesn't give a fuck about life besides that one chick. Like he doesn't care who dies. And so they just become a big fight, and the three king's guards just become the biggest shitter characters of all time. The only one who's good is this big red dude, but even then, like they're just fighting him, but it's just such a not an interesting fight. And then Gon finally meets up with the cat chick because they found out that Kite is dead, and like they got trolled because they thought he was alive, but he's not. He was just a puppet. So he's just there tweaking. He's like, when this bitch is done, I'm gonna fucking kill her. And Killua's there like, no, Gon, you can't hurt her. Please, Gon, don't use your anger against them for violence. Though they killed your friend and killed many other people, let's use friendship instead. Like, they just fucking ruin Killua, bro. It's so fucking sad how bad the show is and how they ruin these characters. And so, back to like the old dude and the king fighting in this like little cavern area. The old dude kamikaze himself. Like he just nukes the entire area, and the butterfly guy sees this and realizes it, so he goes and saves the king. The king's burnt to a crisp. He looks like Armin in fucking Attack on Titan after he gets burnt by the Colossal Titan. And so just he goes saves the king. The king comes back to life. Whoop-de-doo. We need more episodes of the show anyways. He just can't die like in battle type shit. And so he comes back to life. He doesn't have any memories. So he's like confused on who the blind chick is. And she's like, but I love you. And he's like, I don't know who you are. But then, he gets his memories back. And here is the worst part of the show. The three main King's Guards who we've been fighting for like the last 20 episodes, besides the cat chick, the two of them and the king all die off screen. Not in fights, mind you. They don't fight to the death. They die off screen to poison. And the funny thing is, Gon goes to fight the cat chick after she saves the blind lady, and he uses like all of his nen ability and like all of his like age and like basically his life expectancy, and he becomes this grown ass man. Like bro has this luscious long hair and he's fucking massive, and he one taps the cat chick, which after seeing the other characters die off screen to poison is completely fucking useless. Because all they had to do was wait and she would have just died to the poison anyways. So the fact that Gon basically sacrificed his life just to get revenge on this cat chick for killing Kite, even though he could have just watched her die to poison, like if that's how the show is going to make the other people die, why not just have it as the cat die? And people were like, but that is so hype, that is peak show. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not peak show because the other main people die off fucking screen to poison, so it doesn't make her death even any more significant. And it's just like, it's a terrible way to have the main or antagonist of a 60 episode arc die. We have all this fucking build up and all this bullshit, and they all just die off screen, and everything's all nice and dandy besides Gon being in a coma now, and basically he's just looking like just a burnt piece of fucking chicken. Like, bro is fried. He is basically on the brink of death. So, and just like, and the ants and the humans become best friends now, and they implement them into society, and everything's all fine and dandy. And you know, you would hope that this is the end of the show, but we have one final arc to cover, and that is the election arc. 12 episodes of just filler yap bullshit. Like, I would rather rewatch Greed Island. No, that's a lie. Because this is 12 episodes and Greed Island's longer. But basically, the 2024 election was more entertaining than this shit. We see Leoriel make a comeback, and essentially he's fighting for a position as chairman because his best friend is Gon, and people like sympathize with him for that. And so he's basically one of the front runners for the election to be one of the chairmen, but he's going up this one guy who's basically trying to manipulate his way to the top, you know. So, but that's not important though. We finally get to see Gon's dad though, and he's still a piece of shit. So yay. And so all of a sudden, you know, as well, we learn Killua has a sister. Whoa, didn't see that coming. And guess what her ability is? She can grant any wish that you want, but if you do, there's a consequence. But again, here's the great writing. Not for Killua. If Killua wishes for something, no consequences. Like, if you make a big wish, the next person basically is like, if you wish for money and another person wishes, the next person has to do something absurd that basically gets them killed. So, but for Killua, it doesn't matter. So Killua kidnaps his sister to go take the Gon to wish him back to life, and Killua's older brother, the pointy dude with the luscious long hair, and Hisoka basically try and go out and stop him. And while doing this, they kill a bunch of hunters, and just because the Hunters Association sent them out against them. So they kill a bunch of hunters, and all that they get, the only repercussion they get is Killua TPs them home. And they get nothing out of it. So they killed all those hunters for nothing. The Hunters Association did nothing about it. And obviously, Killua makes it to Gon and saves Gon. Gon finally meets his daddy. Gon meets Leoriel again. They try to reach Kurapika, but that motherfucker is just sitting on a chair. And essentially, this is where the show ends. You know, Gon finally meets his dad, but like he doesn't see him as his dad. He's like, I want to become stronger before I can acknowledge you, or something, vice versa. And that's just how the show ends. And they take away all these characters and shit that we just witness. Like the Phantom Troop, we never really see again after like fucking the York New City arc. Kurapika, we never see him again. Leoriel's barely in the show, and half the time he's just trying to make money. And they make fucking Killua a pussy. Like, the show is bad. It's terrible. And like the fact that people think it's like one of the best animes ever created is just completely just insane. There are better animes out there than this. And the fact that the biggest arc of the show has the main fucking villains die off screen to a fucking natural cause, not even in a fucking fight, is just terrible. So the fact that this show is like highly like loved by some people just makes no sense to me. And this is why I truly believe that this shit is just complete buns. But you know, if you disagree, let me know. If there's any other anime you want me to talk shit about or you know praise and glaze, I'll fucking do it. Just put it down in the comments. And if there's any other game you want me to put on in the background, just let me know. I tried doing Marvel Rivals, but that didn't want to record well for some reason, so you just have Overwatch at this point. But I have other games I can play as well. So if you don't want to watch me play in gold, just let me know. But yeah, this is where I'm going to end it. Thank you. Bye.